Today we're going to be doing intermediate. I'm going to show you traditional grip and I'm going to show you hand. This is Clayton Skinner. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beat. Hi, my name is Clayton Skinner. In this episode of Beyond the Beat, I'm going to teach you how to do a shuffle on your snare drum. Doing a shuffle on your snare drum is basically the same as doing it on your hi-hat. The only difference is that you're playing the shuffle with the hand that you hit your snare with. So for instance, in my case, because I'm right-handed, I hit my snare with my left hand, which means that if I were to play a shuffle on my snare drum, I would have to play that shuffle with my left hand. And we're going to be doing the same kind of shuffle as we did before, which is going to be a triplet-based shuffle. It's just going to be with my left hand on the snare drum. And what will happen is my right hand, which plays on either hi-hat, ride, or anything else, will just simply either play quarters or they could play the shuffle as well. So, you know, there's really no rules here except for make sure that you're in time. Now, just a little quick technique tip before we get started. Depending on what grip you use, if you use match grip, you play the German grip, whatever technique you use to play the shuffles with the hi-hat or the ride, just simply do the same thing with whatever hand you're playing on the snare. Just make sure that you got the nice, poppy motion. If you're playing with a traditional grip, you're going to want to use use a molar pump kind of motion, but just simply with the turn of the wrist. This will take some time to get used to, especially because it is your opposite hand. So, we'll want to take this a little bit slowly. So let's just dive right into Lesson A. Lesson A is just simply going to be an exercise for you to practice the dynamics required to play these shuffles. Because you are playing a shuffle basically on like the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the snare drum, you want to make sure that your backbeat, which is 2 and 4, is properly accented so that everybody else knows that you are playing that is 2 and 4. That's where your backbeat is. So, if you don't do that, what will end up happening is it'll just keep constantly sounding like the same la 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 la, and it can get confusing if there's no dynamic, if there's no pulse or loud or accented note to let everybody know when 2 and 4 is, when the backbeat is. So this exercise is just to work on that. Okay, so I'm rambling, but basically what we're going to be doing is you're going to be playing quarter notes on the hi-hat or the ride, whatever. We're going to focus on the hi-hat. And you're going to be playing, again, quarter notes with your left hand on the snare drum. Sorry. Now, if you're looking at the PDF, you'll see that A has accents on numbers 2 and numbers 4. Number 1 and 3 is just going to be played regularly. An accent, again, is just when you play that specific note louder than any other note. Obviously not louder than another accented note. So this is just a basic dynamic exercise just to get used to playing the soft 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to make sure that those 2 and 4 beats are, really sent home. So you'll use exercise A as a warm-up. So before you practice, if you're completely new to these, you may want to just use that last exercise there as a warm-up. So every time you start to practice it, practice that exercise, playing the soft 1 and 3 and a nice solid 2 and 4. Now, exercise B. Sometimes it'll help if you want to learn how to play a shuffle on one hand and you already know how to do a shuffle on the other, is to play them together. You can use your right hand as a guide, or whatever, your dominant hand as a guide for your other hand to learn how to play the shuffles properly in rhythm. Now again, because it's a constant pattern that's repeating over and over and over again, you're going to want to make sure you're accenting 2 and 4. So this is one of those things where you can focus on really accenting that backbeat. Now, here's the kicker. When you start to get comfortable with this, you can try to keep a nice steady pulse, no accent with your cymbal hand, with your hi-hat hand, and then practice hitting that pulse on 2 and 4 with your snare drum. That's only when you're comfortable with the whole thing. So listen to my demonstration, and I'll show you both ways how to do this. Lesson C is going to take a very similar concept with B, except for now we're not going to be shuffling with our dominant hand. We're not going to be shuffling with the cymbal hand. You're only going to be shuffling on the snare while playing quarter notes on your hi-hat. If the last two exercises helped you at all, then this is basically what's going to push you into the numbered exercises. So yeah, just work on that. Remember, quarter notes on the hi-hat, and then play the shuffle pattern on the snare drum. Make sure you accent 2 and 4. Let's see how you do. So now let's add bass drum to this. Exercise 1 is just C with bass drum on 1 and 3. Now what's going to happen when you add bass drum to it is the bass drum, being the bass drum, is going to add kind of it's going to be powerful, it's going to be loud. What you want to work on doing is when you hit the snare drum on 1 and 3, when you shuffle into it, you want to make sure, obviously like we've been going over, you want to make sure that the snare on 2 and 4 is louder than the snare that's happening on 1 and 3. And I only say this because when you add your bass drum, it's going to cause a bit of a coordination issue. You want to make sure that the bass drum hits are consistent, that the proper volume. But when you're hitting let's say another limb, say your right foot or your foot, whenever you're adding something like that and you're playing with your hand and you're trying to differentiate the two dynamics, it can be pretty tricky. This is a skill that you're going to have to develop over time. So, you want to make sure you put that time in. So it's just something that I want to let you know. Practice making sure that numbers 1 and 3, the snare hits, are quieter than the 2 and 4. And that's going to be something that you're going to want to work on. So yeah, let's listen to my demonstration of number 1, and you try to listen to that, or for that. So beat 2 might be a little bit easier, I don't know. We have the bass drum on 1 and 3, except this time you're only going to be shuffling into 2 and 4. So the snare would be going on the A of 1, 2, the A of 3, and then 4. So it's just 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It's not a continuous shuffle pattern. So you don't have to worry about being quiet on 1 and 3 with your snare drum. Put a nice solid bass drum hit in there on 1 and 3, and nice solid snare hits on there on 2 and 4. Yeah, listen to my demonstration. Check it out. Exercise 3, the snare pattern, is a pattern that you may come across quite a bit when playing shuffles on your snare drum. It basically just takes place in a lot of blues songs. What happens is you're going to be shuffling into 2 and 4. So it's going to be on the A of 1, the 2, and then the A of 3, and then 4. Yeah. But what's also going to happen is you're going to be adding a snare hit that's going to be on the AV2 and then on the AV4. So what'll happen is, it's probably confusing. Anyway, if you're looking at the PDF, you'll see the snare drum goes 1, A2, ah, A4, ah, A2, ah, A4, ah. The hi-hat hand, or the right hand, your dominant hand, the cymbal hand, your hand, is going to be playing quarter notes continuously. Bass drum, we're just going to keep it on 1 and 3, just going to keep it simple. But there's two different ways of playing this. You could play, the first half I have the accent on 2. So you could play it with the accent, same pattern, but with the accent on 2 and 4. Or you could play with the accent on the end of 2, sorry, the A of 2 and the A of 4. So I just basically taken, rather than making it 2 exercises, I just made it 1 and just look at the first half, look at the second half, and you'll understand. So here's a demonstration of putting it on 2, and here's a demonstration on putting it, 2 and 4, and here's a demonstration of putting it on the As of 2 and 4. Listen to the demonstrations. So I hope this video helped you in your understanding of how to add a shuffle to your snare drum. Just a few points I want to reiterate on. Number 1, accent 2 and 4 with the snare drum. Any other hits on your snare drum that take place within that bar are not going to be as loud, or should not be as loud as 2 and 4. Unless you're playing around with like the similar exercise on number 3. But ideally, you don't want to have the accent any louder anywhere else than on 2 and 4. You only want it to be loud on 2 and 4. Your bass drum, you're adding bass drum, it can be loud, I don't care. But make sure that any other snare hits other than 2 and 4 are not loud. I hope that explanation helped if the other ones didn't. I know I explained it like 5 different times. So yeah, basically just keep practicing. This is not something you're going to learn in a month or any amount of time sooner than a month. This takes time. This takes practice. Blues is all about feel. So yeah. Well, that's all for this episode. If you have any questions, make sure you get a hold of me through the contact section at claytonskinner.com. Or you can just, leave me a message right here on YouTube. Make sure you like the video if you like it. Anyway, see you next time.